In today's video, we are reviewing Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I played numerous amounts of Warhammer games like Darktide, but this game specifically is actually insane. We're going to dive into the campaign, the multiplayer, and the PvE, aka the operations. I've already beaten the game. I have about 30 to 40 plus hours on the game already currently. I'm going to share my experiences and my thoughts. So all the gameplay you're seeing right here right now is actually the Xbox Series S. So this is a little small version of what the Xbox Series X can handle. Before we jump into this, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification to never miss a video. If I miss any lore or mispronounce any words, my apologies. I'm not perfect. So I'm going to try to look at the camera and try to read off my notes here. I did make a script of this video because I can write down all the cool things that I thought throughout the campaign without spoiling any kind of huge story details, because I want people to actually experience this for themselves. This is a review of the game, give my honest opinions and my experience on what the game feels, the gameplay, the mechanics of the game, how the characters work, how the level up system works, and the mechanics of the game, if there's any replayability and stuff like that. So the campaign experience is really awesome. I would highly recommend playing this with friends, because if you're playing this solo, you're going to be tough time doing this solo. If you do queue up for a solo match, there's no such thing as a solo match. When you actually queue up in the campaign, and when you queue up, there's nobody in that matchmaking queuing for that match, you will get queued up with bots. So you're not playing obviously by yourself. And some of the bots in this game can hold their ground and pretty much almost as good as us when we're playing the game, which is crazy to me. But as you play through the campaign, you'll get queued up with bots or real people. When you get queued up into the game, it's going to queue up bots. Then until someone actually a real player gets in the queue, it will replace the bots with a actual real person, which is kind of cool, honestly. It just makes it where you're not struggling by yourself, and they actually put bots in there so you can actually have a shot of actually surviving these missions, because they can get quite difficult depending what difficulty you're playing on. The main character in this game, pretty much, if you have a team of 3, so when you're doing these certain missions, there's this one mission where the main protagonist was like pushing this bridge, and 2 of the other teammates will be pushing the left side, pretty much taking down other enemies and helping you take them down on the bridge also. While 2 teammates are pushing the left, the main protagonist will be pushing on the right side and will both push up, while the left is pretty much protecting you while you're trying to push through this area, and actually engages you into the story and makes you feel like you're actually doing something other than just 3 of you in the same kind of area and just moving and killing enemies. It's kind of the same concept here, but it's like split up where your teammates like over there doing something else while you're over here trying to protect whatever they're doing, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to explain this as best as I can, but I'll show it in the gameplay here so it makes more sense. I thought this was cool because, for example, when me and my friends were playing, me and my friend would just killing, taking hordes of enemies. Then we had our third teammate, which is on the far right of the map, which he was just pushing the bridge and it was just clearing out enemies. So it makes it more unique. Actually, the characters are brought into the game and like, gameplay, and it's very cool. So yeah, but that is just a small glimpse of what the story is really all about. But it really gets you hooked once you start playing it more and more and get into these missions as you go. There's only a few missions, pretty much almost an hour long to 2 hours long, so it will take a while to actually complete this game, between probably like 7 to 10 hours to actually complete this game, depending how you keep your pace between these levels. If you just rush right through it, it's going to take you probably around 7 hours maybe. Take your time, probably easy 10 plus hours. As you push through these missions, there are hordes of enemies, which makes it so unreal. So much action and just all about fucking shit up. You can also loot around these missions for ammo and stems for HP, different weapons, even swords. How the characters work in the game are just kind of random, because it's not like operations where you can just pick a specific character and just run with it. The campaign is basically you jump in with your character, which is giant mech suit. You loot weapons, you loot ammo. There's stems, little power ups that give you extra self revive or give you more XP or something, or there's even extra data things you can find around the map that gives you more lore about the story. And if you actually complete all those and find all those, there's actually achievement for that too. So if you're an achievement hunter, that's going to be good to look for too. But if you're a lore kind of guy, those are kind of cool to get because they really spill into the story and learn more about it. Right now, we're talking about the campaign, and the operations are 2 different game modes, which is absolutely crazy. The campaign is more about you diving into the game and see if you like it or not, and actually learning about the story. I think that's how I look about it. The campaign was really for me, but the CGI cutscenes and the immersive between the characters and actually playing the game, I never seen so much blood and gory in my entire life. I was actually surprised that the Xbox Series S can actually handle what it's actually handling. Yes, there is a lot of FPS drops, and a lot of bugs. So this game is not perfect. There's gonna be a lot of bugs, obviously. But I was very surprised how the Xbox Series S can actually handle the amount of much gameplay was on my screen. There was hordes of enemies. I'm not talking about like 5 enemies. I'm talking about like 50 to 100. I'm not over exaggerating either. That's literally what it is. It's insane. The campaign is mostly to pretty much a story driven kind of game here. It's a lot of action packed. The CGI cutscenes are amazing. It feels like you're watching a movie sometimes, and sometimes the cutscenes can have a tough time loading in those graphics and details. It's not a perfect game. I accept that. Not everything is going to be loading in properly like a CGI movie, just how it is. But I was really surprised how the Xbox Series S can really handle this, because this console can barely hold 30 FPS on basic games. This game was pretty much running a solid 50 to 60 FPS on some areas. You can definitely tell when the FPS dramatically drops because your frame rate just, your game slows down. But there is some moments where it doesn't, and just your game just keeps going. It's very impressive. On very dramatic moments and intense moments, I experienced a lot of crashes. There's this one mission where my game crashed like numerous times and froze a couple times for like 5 seconds, and it just like, you know what, unfreeze itself and you get back into the game. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is probably one of my very first Warhammer game that I actually got sucked into, because the replayability for the campaign is very poorly. The campaign does a very good job of telling you the story, what the game is all about, and the lore and the gameplay, slicing through enemies and doing all these finishers, learning the mechanics of each weapon, how every weapon works. So each melee weapon you actually use has a mechanic to it. It has like a move set, I should say. If you damage an enemy so much, you can actually do a finisher, which every melee weapon inside the game has a totally different melee finisher, which is totally badass. It feels very immersive other than just killing the enemy. Like after you just damage them enough, it'll have this button where you can actually do a finisher, which is like the right thumbstick on controller. And it just, each melee has a different like assassination. Then actually, when you do that, you actually get shield back in this game, which is pretty crazy. Depending on what character you're using, this is separate from the campaign. So I probably should not talk about that. But in the campaign, once your character can have up to 3 slots of armor. It's different from each character. But while playing the campaign, you have so many slots of armor, and then once you do finishers, you will gain that shield back, which is pretty cool. So you pretty much get rewarded by actually doing good and actually doing the mechanics of the game and actually getting that shield back. There's also different finishers in the game where actually get your HP back, which is pretty good. There's these couple finishers where just, there's this blue icon that will pop up, and you just, if an enemy is coming to your direction, you can just like take him down like mid attack when he's just trying to attack you, and you can slam the enemy down, which is pretty cool. And there's also this red attack where you cannot, basically you need to dodge this mechanic. You cannot parry this. If you don't dodge it, you will take crazy amount of damage. So it's not like a parry. If you see this blue marker, you can actually parry it, and it's almost like Liza P. You can actually, or like any other game that can parry. If you see that blue icon and you actually parry it, it will actually be successful and you won't take any damage. You will actually stun the enemy for a few seconds and actually just keep taking hits of the enemy. Once you start getting the mechanics of the game and learning how to parry and do these finishers and just learn how the game actually works, combining these all together is the most rewarding thing the game can literally deliver you. It's amazing. When I first started playing this game, I was like, wait, this game feels way too basic. Is this really what it really is? Once you actually learn what the game and the mechanics, it's just like, wow. When you're getting overrun by dozens of enemies, even in boss fights, like all like shooting enemies, using your melee weapon to slash through hordes of enemies and like dodging backwards, and like you see the red mechanic, and then you just like dodge out of the way, or you get hit and you just kind of lose that momentum of, okay, I'm about to die. When you get used to that, you have this feeling where once you like know the mechanic of the game, it's like, okay, you're gonna see the blue marker, you're gonna parry that, hit some enemies a few times, do the finisher, there you go, you're all set. And then you can just look around and scavenge around this mission for stems, and you can heal up. My experiences in the campaign, when you get hurt a lot in games, you kind of just give up because I only have 1 HP. Maybe I should just reset myself. But in this game, you can actually, what's so rewarding about this game is you can actually be playing the campaign, if you get overrun in like 1 HP and have those shields up, doing finishers and actually maintaining that mechanic while just like dodging and just doing finishers to gain the shield back, and just doing certain finishers to get the HP back. It will keep you alive, even though if you're low HP and you want to pretty much give up at that moment, there is mechanics inside of the game that allow you to gain your HP and shield back. So it makes you hungry for kills and just keep going at it. It probably doesn't make sense when I'm trying to explain it, but basically when I'm trying to explain it, if I'm in a Pacific mission and I'm like, if I have like half health or 1 HP, I'm not giving up. I know the mechanics of the game. I can just keep shooting enemies, do the finisher, gain my shield back. I can actually do a couple parries and do another finisher where I can actually get my HP back, which is absolutely crazy. So just by learning the mechanics of the game and actually doing good in your gameplay performance of the gameplay in Space Marine 2, Warhammer 40K, you can actually gain HP and shield back. What I like about that is it's not like you don't come to this sudden mood of your mind like, okay, I am 1 HP, I should just die basically and just get revived. In some cases, that's how I felt. But when you actually learn the mechanics and how the gameplay really plays, you learn trade-offs of doing damage to enemies, doing finishers, get your shield back, then some other finishers will give you HP back. Then if you actually scavenge around the map while getting attacked, which this can be risky, there's these little green little boxes and there's random loot laying on the ground around these missions where you can just look for stems, heal up, look for a little power-ups will give you extra XP, another extra self-revive. Just in case you go down, you can get back up. You can actually just work together as a team. And just the campaign, I do like how the campaign and the operations are separated from each other. They're not both the same. Honestly, it's crazy. The campaign is basically you jump in with the character with the mech suit and you just scavenge for loot, weapons, XP, these little power-ups, self-revives, and just stems for HP and just extra weapons and ammo and stuff like that, and grenades. Grenades are very important in this game because they do so much damage. If you just scavenge for grenades and just find hordes of group of enemies and just throw grenades at it, it will destroy everything in its path. So grenades are very important. So while you're fighting all these monsters and enemies and just at the same time, you can just loot around and just find anything that could help you pretty much stay alive, basically. And that's what really pulls you into this game and makes you engage and makes you stay alive. And the mechanic of the game is really fun. I thought I was not gonna like it in the beginning. When I bought this game, it was like $75. It was ridiculous. That was besides the expansions. The future content of this game looks phenomenal, and this game is gonna have a very bright future for its game because it has a full roadmap of each expansion, which is crazy. It's a little pricey. It does have bugs. It's gonna have bugs. It's not a perfect game. The price that the game gives you, it is a full-fledged gameplay experience. It's not gonna be for everyone. People are not gonna like it, and people will like it. It is what it is. The game was very expensive, $75. Do I think it's worth it? Yes, because the game actually gives you what the price is for. As long as the game, if it's 60 bucks, 70 bucks, and the game offers that price, I'm here for it. I'm here for the story. I'm here for the cutscenes. I'm here for the gameplay. I'm here playing with friends and just enjoying myself. It's just fun. All I gotta say is, between all these game modes, the campaign, operations, and multiplayer, my least favorite game mode is obviously going to be the campaign because actually I'm gonna take that back. Multiplayer is my least favorite because it's so rage inducing. PvP, even though I'm not like a Call of Duty fanboy or I'd like doing PvP, PvP in games are very different from each other. That's what makes it very unique. And Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, I'm not a fan of the multiplayer. I played a few matches, and if you find yourself playing solo and you're going against the whole team, you're pretty much screwed. So you pretty much have to stick together, do the objectives, and pretty much play as a team, basically, and just coordinate to what you're doing to the gameplay. Team play is required for multiplayer because if you play this game solo, you'll see what I mean. Because multiplayer is for me. So just my opinion. But back to the campaign, the boss fights are very awesome. I'll show a couple boss fights, but I'm not going to show everything because I want you guys to experience this for yourself. The boss fights are very unique. There's some boss fights where you be versing multiple boss fights at once. There'll be one phase where you do damage to one boss, then the second phase will bring another boss in. We have to do a certain amount of damage. Then there'll just be another mechanic where you have to like dodge everything. Not everything, but there is a mechanic where you have to dodge at certain points. Then if you don't, you will take damage. And then after that phase, there's different phases to the bosses. Then after you do that damage to that boss, the main boss will come in and you do damage to that boss. It's like a hybrid boss fight. When I first experienced the final boss fight, it was insane to me because I was just like, okay, this is just gonna be the main boss. We take him down and we kill him, it's over. No, you do damage, you do a certain amount of damage, a dragon will come in, you have to dodge those mechanics. Next phase will come in, do damage to the main boss. Next phase will come in, the damage will have this little fire attack, which you have to dodge these purple meteor thingies. I don't know what the hell they're called, but you have to dodge certain mechanics inside of the game. Then another phase will be like you need to dodge at certain moments when this kind of earthquake shock wave comes at you. If you don't dodge it, basically take damage, obviously. There's different phases to these boss fights that make it unique and feel more rewarding other than just fighting a boss and it's over. There's different layers and phases to these boss fights. I have to learn the mechanic of the gameplay to obviously dominate these boss fights. That's what I like about this game so far because it's just absolutely awesome. And just imagine that, but in operations, imagine take the campaign, take operations, and mash it all together, and it's a whole game mode itself. It's insane to me, man. The campaign delivers what the name for itself. The campaign, it delivers the cutscenes, the gameplay, the mechanics, and it feels really good. That's all I gotta say. So the campaign is good. It's a good introduction for the gameplay or Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. It's obviously a beginner game mode. It's good for this game, which is the campaign. It prepares you what the game is actually going to be about. So once you hop in operations, this is totally separate from the campaign. This is a PvE game, which you have 6 different maps to pick from, which is crazy. Between these 6 maps, you can play quick play, which will pick a random map, or you can pick a specific map you want to play, because as you do the campaign, you unlock these operation maps to play on, because the operations missions do tie up to the campaign, which is very cool. So the operations is basically the campaign on crack. You go do these missions, you have these tasks to do. It's the same thing as the campaign. You can literally find these green boxes and loot everything. There are specific characters inside the game you can actually play, and it's unique to each other. It's not like the campaign where you just play one character. Operations has like numerous of different characters you can pick from. The operations have numerous different characters to pick from based on your playstyle, which I love. I'm going to give you guys a few examples of characters that you can play in operations that can really fit your playstyle. This is kind of your main HUD of where you start off. You come over here onto the launch bay, you interact with this computer. This starts the operations. This starts the campaign. The operations is a PvE. The campaign is obviously your story mode, and the internal war is your PvE hashtag, the multiplayer game mode. Press your middle button on the controller. It will take you to the battle barge, which you can fast travel to the launch bay. The launch bay is where you pick the game mode you want to play and to start the mission. The armoring hall, this is where you customize your characters and your customization. Sadly, the campaign does not have this. Only the operations and the multiplayer has this. This is the armoring hall for operations of PvE. So you have tactical, which is you get this kind of scan once you it reveals enemies in a selective area, and it makes them more vulnerable. So you can actually do double damage, which it tells you how much armor you have for this character, which is tactical. You have 3 bars of armor, which is good. And as you level up these weapons, you'll be able to upgrade the weapon as you like. You have different perks and stuff like that. So how the leveling up works in this game is each weapon you have to level up individually. So once you play operations and get kills with it, you're gonna get leveled up. There's actually this relic you can actually find that gives you bonus XP for your character and your weapon. So if you find this and you're trying to level up, I would really recommend using that, which is really good. So once you pick up the XP kind of relic, it's gonna give you XP for your weapon and your character, so you can level up faster. But there's gonna be different variants of your weapon. It's gonna be the Mastercraft, which is green, the Artificer, which is purple, and the relic is gonna be your kind of relic, which is going to be like your legendary tier. So basically, to upgrade your weapons to a green rarity, you need to find these little armory data, little thingies you will find around the map in these operation missions. There's going to be different locations. They're all RNG. Every mission and operations will have these armory datas that you need to collect. Then if someone already picked one up, it says you cannot pick it up anymore. So that means someone already picked it up. You can have up to 2 of these. Then if you don't die and you successfully beat that mission, you will obtain those armory datas, which I have 4 of these. That means I found them in these regular missions here. So if you go to the launch bay and interact with this terminal over here, you can change the difficulty. Once you change the difficulty, the minimal and the average, that's where you're gonna find your armory data master crafted, which it says at the bottom, obviously. So that's how you can upgrade your weapons to a green rarity. To upgrade it to a purple rarity, it works the same way as finding the armory data, but the missions are harder and the difficulty is harder, but you're finding a different other version of the armory data. To get the purple version of the armory data, you need to play substantial, which is the 3rd hardest game mode. That's going to be your armory data artificer. That's going to be able to upgrade your weapon to a purple rarity. If you want your weapons to be purple, you need to play this game mode right here. Basically, it works the same way as you're finding the armory datas. You go around, search for the area, look for the armory data. The minimal and average is where you're going to find your armory data mastery crafted green rarity weapons that you need to basically upgrade it. You're going to search around and find it. The substantial is going to be for your purple rarity. Then the ruthless is going to be for your relic rarity, which each game mode you play, minimal is going to be your kind of, easy game mode here. Then average is going to be your normal. Substantial is going to be very difficult, and ruthless is going to be like you need to work together as a team. Yeah. So if you just select over these difficulties, it tells you at the bottom of what level you need to be and what armory data you need for that specific weapon for your rarity. So just pay attention to these difficulties, and that's where you can upgrade your rarity of your weapon based on this. So yeah, these are different difficulties inside of the game. So if you want the master crafted, if you want the green rarity of this weapon, you got to play, minimal and average. If you want the artificial, you need to play the substantial game mode difficulty, which is in the operation. So you need to play substantial difficulty on operations to get the purple rarity of this weapon. And you got to find those data armory around the map to obtain those. And you got to beat the mission to get those. Then you can actually get the purple one unlocked. To get the relic, you need to play the Ruthless game mode, which will drop the armory data master crafted pieces that you need. You can find these scattered all around the map. It works the same way. All three of these pieces will work the same way throughout these game modes. The difficulty is going to be what makes this harder to obtain. So once you obtain one of those armory datas, you basically need to beat the mission and you will obtain those. At the top, you have the green, the purple, and the relic. So you have the master crafted, artificial, and the relic. Those are your three main ones that you need to worry about. So you got to level up your weapons, get your guns to green rarity, purple rarity, then relic. Then you work your way up to make your pretty much your weapons very powerful and your character very powerful, which is very awesome. As you level up your weapons, you unlock different skins, which is very awesome, as you see here. So whatever skin you have or whatever rarity you unlock, that's what skin you unlock for your weapon. So it makes it feel like you're actually working toward a goal here. So which is cool. So as you upgrade your weapon for different rarities, your skin will change to that rarity, which is absolutely awesome and you can earn these in game, which is very awesome. And this goes with every weapon. To max every weapon out is going to be a little bit grindy. And this goes with every weapon in the game. This goes with the melee weapon, the standard issues, and your snipers, and etc. The perk tree. My first perk here is balancing distribution. So as you level up your character, you unlock these perks. And how you actually, once you get your character to a specific level, you can obtain these perks, what makes your character stronger. As you level up your character, you can unlock these class perks that help you do whatever you're trying to do better. Like for this one, this upgrade says after a finisher, the equipment range weapon reloads automatically, which is very good. This one has after a perfectly timed dodge, you do not lose a control upon taking heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back for 5 seconds, which is a huge class perk upgrade. After you do those successful missions, you also gain these golden little tokens at the top right next to your gamer tag. I have 126. It's kind of this golden, yellow, orangish dot. Those are your credits that you can use to unlock these perks for your characters after leveling up your character. Those credits can also be used to pretty much go to this little armoring hall thing and actually customize your character. If you go to edit armor, your armor sets are basically each character is going to have a set armor, which is going to be absolutely badass. So after you get so many victories in these missions for each individual character, this is not overall. Each character in the game is going to have all these armor sets. It's a grinding game. So for example, if you get successful completions on operations with this specific character, it only counts for this character. So you have to do this for each character to unlock these armor sets, grind these operations. So the more you complete, as you see here, if I complete 28 missions and operations with this character, I will unlock this armor set. Totally badass. You unlock them in chronicle order, which is very awesome. So it feels like you're building your character up. So if you main a character and you want to max them out, if you play operations on quick play and just keep going back to back to back missions, and as you complete as much mission as possible, after 7 missions, I will get this skin. After 14 missions, I will get this one. After completing 21 missions, I will get this skin. And after completing 28, I will get this skin. Then the final one is after completing 35, I will get this badass final one. And this is for all characters. This game is an absolute grind. And the custom armor set is going to allow you to pretty much edit your armor sets. So the armor pieces work the same way. As you complete missions, so many missions, you unlock different armor pieces. You can save custom armor sets too. So if you have your favorite skin you want to run or favorite, character has your favorite kind of style to it, you can save up to 4, and you can customize these anytime you want. As you get wins, as you complete operation missions successfully, you will get new armor pieces that changes your character dramatically. Look at this. It looks so badass. So if I use this character and achieve 3 victory missions, I will unlock this. Then as you get more, you'll unlock more as you go, which is cool. And this goes with each character, which is absolutely insane. If you go to the chapters, you can also use those credits and actually unlock different colors for your character too. There's also DLCs, which is a part of the expansion. If you go down here and you go to edit your character, you can change the color of your character. So everything in game is earned by completing these missions. So just by playing the game, I unlocked the oil main color. I unlocked the black camo. As you do successful missions and unlock more gold coins, you use those coins to put patterns on your character to change the color of your character, basically. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward here. Complete missions, get those golden credits. You can use those towards customizing your character, changing the color of it, changing the specific pieces of your armor sets. You can also earn full sets armor pieces just from getting victories in these missions, which is absolutely amazing. And this is for each character. armor, which is insane. So if I come over here and select a different character, look at this. This game is an absolute grind. This is for the Vanguard. So if I go over here, use the Vanguard, you got to get so many missions completed in operations. And once you get so many, you unlock these new armor sets, which you have to do this for every character, like I said earlier. It's an absolute grind. It's a grind, man. It's woo, it's a grind. So there's tactical. We have assault, which is jump pack, enables enhanced dashes and powerful jumps, resulting in new combat moves. This armor class has 3 slots in it, so which is good. This works the same way. Level up your character, use those credits to unlock new class perks, level up your character to unlock new class perks, and use those coins to unlock those also, and also use those to customize your character also. I mean, each character is different. The jump pack is really effective. I used this character earlier. It allows you to maneuver around the map. You can also use your jump attack to slam the ground and just take out multiple enemies at once. It's very good for boss damage and pretty much staying alive. This is probably one of my favorite characters to use because the jump pack is very helpful doing damage, which all these characters are good in their own way. Just this one specifically is my favorite because the jet pack is so fun to use. It's different from the campaign. Once you use it, it's very effective. In Vanguard, you have a grappler. It allows you to grapple onto enemies to do finishers on them. If you feel like you need to grapple somewhere, if you have the grapple available, you can actually grapple to a different area, grappling to an enemy and actually doing damage to the enemy, doing damage to that enemy. It allows you to propel to an enemy and then perform a diving kick, which is cool. So you can do this. The distance on the hook, pretty crazy. Each character is unique. You can use your grappling hook and just grapple onto an enemy and just, keep hitting him until you basically do a finishing move or eliminate them. And then you can just basically keep going, which is cool. You can grapple onto different objects. I really didn't find that helpful. I found it really more helpful of just grappling onto enemies, but you can grapple using the environment too, which can be helpful trying to get high ground also, which is cool. But the Vanguard has 2 slots of armor, sadly. Then as you see here, I played Vanguard quite a bit here. I have them leveled up to 10. I use my credits. You get those from completing operations, and I unlocked some perks from leveling up my character. As you see here, as you unlock these perks, max them out, your character is going to be maxed out completely. It's going to be absolutely crazy, which is crazy to me. And it's level 10. So yeah, the tactical and assault have 3 slots of armor. The Vanguard has 2. If we move on to Bulwark, hopefully I'm saying that name right. I have him level 9. His kind of special ability is Chapter Banner. It restores armor to all squad members in the area of effect. So which is cool. So once you put your banner down, any squad member that's in the area of effect, when I put that Chapter Banner down, everyone will gain that shield back, which is crazy. This is gonna be very good for when you're fighting hordes of enemies and monsters. If you get stuck in a pickle, you can just slam this Chapter Banner down and gain their shields back. This can be very good if you're low on HP and you can't find no HP because RNG on these missions are absolutely crazy. Each character works the same way as perk trees, as is here. I got this quite a bit, almost halfway done. So I've been working on this guy a little bit too, unlocking perks by leveling up my character. He's pretty cool. You can obviously do the same thing. Look at this armor, dude. Oh my God, it's so badass. Just completing missions, you get this armor inside the game. You do not have to buy it. You earn it just by playing the game, which is very awesome. The sniper, this is probably one of my least ones, but this is more like a sit back character, but you can pull out your pistol and just basically go ham and also pull out your sword and basically go ham. I think the bolt sniper rifle is basically good for long range, obviously, and just taking out those bosses for high damage. This one is really good for popping a camo cloak for your ability. It conceals you until your next attack breaks camo cloak. So basically, once you pop your camo cloak, basically going to be invisible. This is very good if you're low HP. If you want to go to invisible and try to search around the map for these green boxes and look for HP or more ammo while you're in cloak mode, because while you're in cloak mode, nothing can attack you. Once you do your next attack, that will break the camo cloak, which you will be visible again. Knowing the timing of the camo cloak with a sniper loadout can be very helpful for you, because I remember one time I was playing the game and I was sniping enemies. Then I popped my cloak to pretty much not invisible to the enemies, so I can actually, take a breath and actually heal myself and actually get ammo. Then once you feel like you're ready, start attacking enemies, and you'll be visible again to the enemies, and you'll start taking damage again. Depending what scenario you're in, you can use the camo cloak whenever. You can just sneak up on them, pop it, then do damage. Or if you're in a tough situation, pop the cloak, you won't take no damage, and you can maneuver around the map and find resources that can really fit what you're trying to look for. Start attacking again. You will become visible again, then you will start taking damage. So gotta be careful with this character here. He can be quite tough. as you see here. Oh my god, the heavy is probably one of the most OP character inside of this game. So with heavy, his ability is called the Iron Halo. It creates a powerful barrier blocking all range damage. So if you're in a crowd of just rounds of monsters coming in, you can pop this your ability on your character, and it will create this powerful barrier where all damage hitting the bubble will deflect and you will take no damage. It's crazy. So this can give you enough time to heal or pretty much prepare yourself for the next fight, or pretty much try to get back on your feet and do more damage again. Heavy is ridiculous. I've seen my friends use this. I use this myself. He's really good for taking out hordes of monsters, and he is a tank. Honestly, he's a tank. He's very good. He has this crazy minigun that can hold up to 450 bullets, and there is like overheating time on it. So once you use the little minigun for a certain amount of time, it will overheat. But if you shoot for a little bit and stop it, pull out your pistol, and then switch to your minigun and just keep shooting, or if you stop it, wait for it to cool down a little bit, then just start spraying, you will get that mechanic down very easily. It gets very annoying after a while, but using this character, he's an absolute monster. Each perk tree of each character can make these characters even more powerful than they already are, because it's actually insane. And the armor on this guy is pretty badass. So yeah, every character is pretty badass, and you're gonna have to spend hours beyond hours, pretty much no lifing this game to get every character maxed out, which is absolutely crazy. And this game it's fucking awesome. That's all I gotta say. Once you pick your favorite character and stick to that character and level up and max them out, you're gonna feel like a god. You're gonna feel like a god because you mastered that character and you're actually doing damage and actually meeting your expectations of what your character can do to stay alive, which is pretty crazy. Just pay attention. Each character has specific armor slots. I think there's only 2 characters in the game. So yeah, the sniper and the vanguard have 2 armor slots, and then the tactical, assaults, bulwark, and heavy all have 3 slots of armor. So which is crazy. So but depending what operation mission you're playing, every task or objective is going to be very different. Everything is RNG, which is crazy. This is what keeps operations very refreshing. That's what, when you're playing operations, it's nothing but randomness. Anything can happen in these game modes. There's specific objectives where you're fighting a boss. You got to find these specific symbols on his walls. And if you look at these little terminals, you got to find the correct symbol corresponding to that terminal. Once you activate the terminal, you have 1 of 3. And once you get all 3 symbols, you can actually do damage to the boss. And once you do this, however many times it takes you until you beat the boss, you have to repeat the symbol process. So whatever symbol you see on the wall, you go to these terminals, activate the symbol, it's etc. Repeat that process until you basically defeat that boss. And that's what's so unique about these operation missions. They're so cool, and these mechanics to these bosses are even more awesome. There's even one where this one operation where you're fighting multiple enemies at once, and you have to move this train. One person is activating this terminal, so you can move the train to different stops to the coordinate spotting spot that you need to take it, and it will tell you there is RNG. So you could get 1 in your game, you could get 2 in your game, you could get 3 in your game, or you can get all 4 in your game. Depending on what RNG inside of your game is, you have to move that train using the terminals, and another player has to be down next to the train moving the train. Another person has to be next to the terminal moving it so they can move it to the correct location it needs to be. So I thought this one, when you first play these operation missions, they look quite difficult, but when you actually do them yourself, it's like, oh wow, this is basically easy. So the train one, it's really fun. Honestly, you go to the train, you escort it, and while you're escorting it, there will be enemies pushing you, and then there'll be another teammate at that terminal, pretty much pushing these buttons to pretty much rotate the train and move it to the correct spot. And the person has to be sitting next to the train for it to move. 2 people have to be in their correct standing locations, and another person can basically be helping you defend off the enemies, basically. And that's really cool. Or the third person can be at another location moving those terminals so the train can get to its correct spot, escorting this train until it reaches its final spot before you pretty much finish the mission, which is crazy. Another mission is where you're going through this massive castle of this dragon will appear with fire on the ground, and it's basically RNG when this dragon can come and basically put fire on the ground. So I actually played this mission numerous times. There's this dragon where it'll come down, put fire in front of you on the ground, and if you listen to the callouts, it'll tell you like all this fire on the way. It will tell you when there's fire coming. Basically, it's RNG. If you see a big dragon about to shoot fire, you need to get out of that location, because if you don't, that fire can do a lot of damage. If you basically sit in this building over here, and it would get you way out of the fire because it does crazy amounts of damage. After the fire is done, you can just keep moving up, and there's a lot of enemies, and the amount of mechanics in each operation mission, it's absurd to me. It's actually insane to me. It's insane. I had no other words to explain it. It's insane. There's another boss where it's just a normal boss. If you don't do so much damage, this boss can pretty much replenish his health back to where it was. if you don't do a lot of damage. And while doing damage, you're going to have other enemies attacking too. So each boss is very unique to itself, specific operation you're playing, which is very cool. I'm not going to spoil every operation mission here, but I'll keep some a little under the hood here so you guys can experience this yourself and actually enjoy this. See if you guys want to play this. There's different bosses on the side of the game. Each operation has a different specific task, different thing that you need to do to order complete those missions. And that's what makes everything unique and what makes everything refreshing. Each operation mission, every game is going to be different. It's almost like Remnant 2. When you play Remnant 2, each mission is going to be different. It works the same way as this game. When I first played this game, I was like, wait, how are people replaying these missions if they're just the same thing every game? Which it's not. 6 missions, you can play quick play, which will pretty much shuffle through all 6 missions. And each one, everything is different. You know, ammo will be different, ammo cases, everything is generated differently in each game. I think that's where the replayability comes in hand. Each operation mission you play, different mechanics inside of those missions will be different every time. So you're not going to always find those armory datas to upgrade your weapons, depending what mission, what difficulty you're in. There's going to be different locations for everything. That's what the replayability comes in handy. It's kind of genius because if you play the same mission every time, the results of the mission can be completely different every time, which is insane. That is my complete review of the campaign and the operations. It's kind of crazy. Multiplayer. I talked about the multiplayer earlier. The multiplayer is not my cup of tea. As a Call of Duty fanboy, and I'm the kind of guy that likes PvP. In this game, I'm not a really fan of it. It takes a lot of teamwork in it, and it's very tough. There's different maps inside of the game. There's different objectives. There's different characters you actually play inside the game. There's different armor sets to multiplayer, which is cool. Tied into that specific character, which is very cool. If you're not working together in multiplayer, you can get absolutely destroyed. Every game mode in this game is tied to its own progression. What I mean by that is if you're playing campaign, nothing in campaign carries over to operations. If you're playing operation, nothing carries over to multiplayer. So campaign, multiplayer, and the PvE are all different individual separate progression, which is absolutely crazy to me. So yeah. So no matter what game you're playing, you're always working towards something, which that's what I love about this game so far. So if I had to rate this game, it's probably an 8 out of 10 because how much it offers us. And the bugs are very annoying. The game crashes, the stutters, the lags, and the disconnecting from games, and the lags and the crashes, and obviously the bugs. And overall, the game is freaking fun, man. It's fun. It's honestly fun. Whatever you approach, hopefully it fits your needs. If you're starting to play this game, obviously beat the campaign before you branch out to other game modes because the campaign really gets you settled to what the gameplay offers you. In the storyline, it teaches you how the mechanics go for the game, which is pretty awesome. What you learn in the campaign, you can implement that into the operations, which is PvE. Then you can move on to the multiplayer. And so it's cool, man. It's cool. You can play co-op up to 3 people. You can play solo. That is my complete review of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Obviously, the roadmap of this game is going to be absolutely crazy. This game is going to have a lot of expansions coming out. So I'll put on picture here. The future of this game is looking very promising. The content, they're going to be supporting this game a lot. And if you don't want to buy this game full price, you can wait for it to go on sale. But for it being a $60, $70 game, I think it's totally worth it because it offers a lot of replayability and the end game is so grindy. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys liked the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers before Black Ops 6 comes out. So yeah, we're slowly closing out on 1,800. So that means we need 200 more subscribers. So I think we can do it. And yeah, this game has been a blast. I have over 30 plus hours to 40 hours in this game, and I'm probably going to even triple that by the time I max every character out in the game. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.